Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. News and prophecy, linking things happening worldwide, all right, as well as here in Babylon and Great, linking them to the Holy Scriptures, giving the elect understanding as to why these things are happening, as biblical prophecy is the reason for the season. All right. And we're going to start in today's lesson with the mass amount of chaos that we're seeing, uptick, worldwide, which is prophetic. As you can see this video here, chaos erupts after U-Haul drives into crowd during anti-Iranian regime rally in LA. All right. And when you see these uproars and when you see these, rallies and things get crazy, just know, all right, there is left hand enchantments involved. All right. Even what we're seeing in Iran, we know and believe that Esau Edom, all right, has his hands in funding a lot of these protests because they're at the point of no return with their New World Order. All right. And they need justification to bring the sword. They need justification for the AI surveillance. They need justification, all right, to identify everybody, set up social credit scores, and eventually chip everybody, all right? And they're going to do that out of chaos. This is why all of these things are happening, okay? And as we see, they are using the ICE, which basically proves that America is now a third world country, to just beat people's ass. All right. And some of it is justified when, they try to pull people over. But this is all a part of the end time vibe. This is how ultimately the Heavenly Father, all right, has ordained for this place to go out through utter chaos. All right. And before you know it, we're going to see, protests. We're going to see all manner of evil. We're going to see, Manchurian candidates, sleeper cells, people who they have programmed to do things that are going to, justify them bringing in more hell. All right. But we've witnessed the two horns as a lamb, blame each other, the left blaming the right blaming the left. And now we're at the point of the sword. We're at the point of dragon. All right. As we always bring out. Right. Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb. So they've played with you people long enough with this fake left-right paradigm, which is really controlled and backed by the elites that have put faces in front of you. And we believe Donald Trump, all right, is the last face. Okay. Even if there is another, election before that, he's going to do something. All right, that is going to, make things go left. All right, we're living in perilous times, man. Now, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, and the dragon aspect speaks of what? Draco, all right? Draconian measures, draconian laws, harsh, all right, methods of rule. And we're seeing that a little bit with ICE, okay? And as situations like this continuously pop up, all right, let's play a little bit of this. This is going to give them more justification to bring in that AI surveillance in the sword. And it's getting ready to get crazy. We just heard about what Esau Edom went over there in Venezuela with, all right, that particular weapon system that he had that was, absolutely crazy. It made people drop to their knees without him even touching them. Well, these are the types of scenarios that we're getting ready to see used on the U.S. people. Okay, but they need to break down the system. They need to bring as much confusion and chaos as possible to justify that. Because away with your constitution, away with your civil liberties or your so-called rights, they're getting ready to come with full-blown draconian measures, man. Okay?
News from an Iran protest happening right now in West LA. Air 7 was overhead right when a large crowd got going after someone into a U-Haul. Now, to put some context to this entire situation, there was a planned protest for 2 o'clock this afternoon outside the federal building in Westwood. That protest was called Anti-Iranian Regime Rally. Well, about 3:30 this afternoon, just as Air 7 flew over this protest to kind of get eyes on what was happening, this is what happened. That U-Haul drove through a very large crowd of protesters. It's difficult to tell how many people. We are told by LAPD nobody was injured in this, but you can see this quickly became a very, very tense situation. There was a driver in.
And you best believe that there are agent provocateurs, all right, in this crowd. Okay? And you have to ask, with all of the hell going on in America, what are people over here, screaming back and forth and rallying about some goddamn Iran? Now, we know we have people from Iran over here in the Americas, and that's becoming a problem with the whole, Islamic, domestic terrorist talking point. Okay. But just know that the left hand is at work. They are at work, man. Okay. And you're getting ready to see more and more of these type of scenarios to where it's going to be so out of control. They have to, call, a stop to everything. Okay. And basically start and move forward with that new order, because they have to do away with the old one. And this is how they do it. All right.
Inside that U-Haul, you can see him interacting with protesters who are jabbing flagpoles and all sorts of objects through the window at him. What you cannot see in this video, on the other side of that U-Haul, there are Iranian signs that have some sort of message written on them. Whatever was going on in this crowd, people were unhappy, perhaps also scared, because there was a U-Haul truck driving through this massive crowd of people. As you can imagine, this created quite a scene. We're going to let this video play out for you. This was just about 3 o'clock this afternoon, so a little more than an hour ago. I'm sorry, 3:30. This was just less than an hour ago. And as this video plays out, we've watched it here a few times in the newsroom. You can see the crowd physically pulls that driver out of the U-Haul cab. And as they are doing so, you can see people in the crowd going after him. What you can't tell there, those are LAPD officers that are also involved in pulling the driver out of that truck, trying to take that person into custody. And as police officers are doing that, the crowd is going after that person, trying to physically harm them. It is a very, very tense situation. And what we're going to see here is police ultimately walk this person through that angry crowd of people and take that person into custody. But all the while, people in this protest crowd are going after this person. As we mentioned, this was an anti-Iranian regime rally protest that was planned in Westwood, outside the federal building. You can tell this is a very large crowd. Now, this comes on top of protests that have been unfolding all week and getting increasingly tense in Iran and also here in the United States. This started in Iran as sort of an economic protest. When shops started closing, the currency is devolving under the regime. People there in the streets are beginning to revolt. So wait, hold on. I want you to watch this video here. That is police taking the driver of that U-Haul away while protesters continue to chase the person who is in police custody. We do know that no ambulances were called. Police have said nobody was injured. That person is now being walked away, and the driver of that U-Haul is in LAPD custody. We will then find out more information about what exactly happened here, if this was intentional, what the means were behind all of this. But as you can also see to the left, that's Air 7 streaming live right now. That protest has gotten even larger. There are hundreds of people out there in the street in Westwood protesting outside.
So there you go. All right. And, this and various other situations are taking place. All right. As you can see, U-Haul plows into a crowd during anti-Iranian regime rally. All right. Where the people are supposedly, protesting against the Iranian government, because over in Iran, they're supposedly, protesting, the same thing that people over here are complaining about: a wicked government, inflation, and as we'll show you in another video, Esau Edom has his hands in that. There's supposedly all of these protesters are dying. Okay. And now you got Donald Trump and the America saying we have to go over there. All right. And get things in order when things aren't in order in their own damn house. All right. But we know the small hat has interest over there. All right. In Iran. All right. With, I believe it's the Hormuz, the Gulf of Hormuz, something like that. Basically a trade route where, you know, a bunch of oil goes through, and ultimately they want to do a regime change. Same thing that we see happening in Venezuela, the same thing that these devils have done over and over and over and over again. Use propaganda in their media, okay, to justify, you know, bringing the sword and going and setting up shop in another man's land, okay? So a few other things that have happened, all right? And let's show you, you know, the whole Iran thing as well.
In Iran, the death toll surging as the Islamic Republic tries to crush the spreading protests.
See that?
But crowds in the hundreds of thousands are refusing to surrender the streets. Human rights activists say around 500 people have been killed since the protests erupted
All right, and we'll show you the propaganda, you know, surrounding this, but you know, in another one, they said it was, you know, almost close to, you know, 1,500, 2,000 people are supposedly been killed in these protests. But we know the Western media has a history of propaganda. Okay. And what follows next is justification of going and raiding Iran. Okay. When we know goddamn well what Esau Edom is doing in the battle for resources. All right. And basically cutting off particular nations and pretty much Esau Edom is in a no-win situation. He has to go to war. War is ultimately at the forefront of this NWO. Destabilization of governments, doing what they always do. Okay.
weeks ago. Iran does not release official numbers, but these videos, smuggled out of the country despite a government-imposed internet blackout and verified by NBC News, show dozens of bodies outside a morgue in Tehran. The faces of the dead flashed on a screen as anxious families search for their missing loved ones. Cries of grief and the seemingly endless rows of bodies hinting at the scale of the bloodshed. President Trump has threatened strikes if Iran uses violence against protesters.
You better not start shooting because we'll start shooting too.
Oh, man.
Members of Iran's parliament responding with defiant chants. Their speaker warning Iran would hit back, and all U.S. military bases in the region would be legitimate targets. More than 10,000 people have been arrested so far, activists say, as authorities try to hold back a tidal wave of public fury, initially sparked by a spiraling economic crisis, but now turning into calls for the overthrow of the regime that has ruled Iran since 1979 and the toppling of its 86-year-old supreme leader. Iranian officials blaming the U.S. and Israel for the protests, claiming without evidence that foreign agents are inciting the crowds.
And I guarantee you, even if there are some people with a significant cry against that government, I guarantee you that the Mossad, all right, because where does everyday protesters get flamethrowers and different weaponry that you're going to hear about, which we're not going to get too deep into this right now, but come on, man. This is Esau Edom doing what he always does, waging violence, okay, in the earth.
As they try to explain away the explosive anger of their own people.
Raf is joining us now with more. And Raf,
So again, what we're seeing is prophetic, because as it says here in 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee, thou shalt very well understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Okay. And this is a part of the Lord visiting. Okay. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, uproars of the people in the world. Let's read this in the NL, in the GNT. All right. 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter in the GNT. Let's see what it says. 2nd Esdras 9, it says there will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see these things happening, you will know that they are what the Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation. All right, we're witnessing the beginning of sorrows, and things are going to spiral out of control fast, man. As it says here in the book of Mark. All right. Yeah, let's get Mark 13:8. It says, for nation shall rise up against nation. Let's get it here. For nation shall rise up against nation. These are the times we're living in. All right, a time of mass deception. Start at 5. Mark 13:5. And Yahushua answered them and began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you. All right, because through fear, all right, the left hand has the ability to deceive. Okay, throw you off. Okay, for many shall come in my name, saying that I am anointed, and shall deceive many. All right, and Esau Edom is doing that. All right, you look at this Trump situation, and the small hat. They all supposedly represent, the Christianity or the Bible or the chosen people, and they're deceiving many with particular miracles. But everything is about war. Everything is about destroying people. Everything is about, all right, taking away your civil liberties and your rights to set up the NWO. And you got false prophets. All right. So take heed lest any deceive you. Again, we know by peace they're going to destroy many. And Esau Edom, all right, is pretty much close to going and entering into Iran, which things could spiral out of control from that situation. Okay, although we'll get into that in another lesson. What I really wanted to get in, real briefly in this lesson, as brief as possible, because I have to make a move. Then we got the class, Lord willing, it's Tuesday. So it says, and when we shall hear wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled. Okay, so all of these things are rumors, but we know, pursuant to Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, the rumors are eventually going to turn to violence in the land. Let's get that. Let's get that. Okay, Jeremiah 51, right? And around 44, because this place is going to pay for all of this wickedness, man. Their hands is in pretty much all of this wickedness. Starting with the small hat, their hand is in all of this wickedness, man. Not to say that these other heathen are innocent, right? But Esau Edom has done a lot and is doing a lot. He's doing too much. And I will punish Baal in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nation shall not flow any more together unto him. The wall of Babylon shall fall. Okay. My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of Yahweh. Unless your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. And a lot of you are in fear when you hear these prophecies because you're not right. Okay. Now there's a natural sense of, damn, how we gonna get out of this? All right. But we know that we're comforted by the Holy Scriptures. But a lot of you, when we speak of the troublous times, you come on the video scoffing and mocking, calling us fear mongers and saying, y'all been talking about this. All right. Okay. Y'all really want America to be healed. Y'all want the current system we live in to just get better, but it won't get better. Okay. And in fact, the rulers of this world are actively doing away with this system through these situations we're witnessing. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that, another year shall come a rumor, and then violence in the land and ruler against ruler. So this is what we're witnessing. Okay. Uproars of the people, right? 2nd Esdras 9:3, there will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see these things happening, you will know that they are what the Most High God has spoken about since the beginning of creation. The beginning and end of everything that happened in this world are clear. The same is true in the world above. Wonders and miracles show the beginning of events, and mighty signs show, all right, the end. Some people will escape destruction and be saved by their good works and by their faith. All right. All of them will survive the dangers I have described and will enjoy the salvation provided in the land that I have set apart from eternity as my own. Then those who have ignored my ways and held them in contempt will be surprised when they find themselves in continual torment. You're gonna lose. All right. This will include those who all who ignored me while they were alive. All right. Even though they accepted the blessing I gave them. Okay. It will include those who scorn my law. All right. Basically during the grace period. So people are getting ready to catch hell, man. The scriptures say many great miseries are set for our people. Okay. Because they ignored the truth. All right. You also have, all right, this Mississippi synagogue. See if we can find a video on that. You have a synagogue set on fire in Mississippi. Okay. So this man is coming with it. Okay. See if we can find a video on that.
Mississippi's largest synagogue released video showing an arson suspect in action.
Oh, man.
The Israel congregation was badly damaged by a fire Saturday morning. The facility in Jackson is considered a hub of Jewish life in the state. The FBI arrested Stephen Pittman after his own father turned him in. Authorities say Pittman admitted to starting the fire in the house of worship because of its close, quote, Jewish ties. The same synagogue was firebombed by the KKK in the 1960s.
So you just got all kind of stuff going on.
A suspect is in custody this morning after a fire badly damaged the largest synagogue in Mississippi over the weekend. Authorities believe it was an arson attack. The temple is the only synagogue in the city of Jackson. Jason Allen is there with more on the investigation. Jason, good morning.
Good morning, Adriana. And you can see the charred walls of Temple Beth.
No picture of the suspect. See if we can find it online. Okay, here we go. Well, what do you know? A high IQ Edomite. Right? A high IQ Edomite, right? So it's just crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just we're living in times where, you know, these plague, and they're not going to stop. Okay? We're not going to stop, man. Okay? Anti-Israel protesters descend on New York City synagogue, Jewish school, while shouting, "We support Hamas." So it's a lot of propaganda. It's a lot of Black Swan events. It's a lot popping up left and right, because ultimately, at the end of the day, they're getting ready to bring the sword, man. Okay, more than 1,000 anti-ICE protests take place across the U.S. this weekend. So things are getting ready to tick up, and you're going to have agent provocateurs in the midst of this, man. Okay, everywhere you look. Okay, and pretty much the small hat is going to use this to say we don't feel safe. Okay, you got a college radio station calls for Vice President Vance's assassination, man. So pretty soon they're going to say we don't know who's an enemy of the state and who's not, and pretty much they're getting ready to come down with great wrath. They're going to force it. Okay. Now, with all of this left, right, you know, all of these arguments, all of this confusion, as you can see here, this is off of Secular Talk. Palantir co-founder calls for offing leftists in cold blood. And we just seen that situation in Minnesota with the ICE agents supposedly offing this that stud, that lady, right? Which she's, you know, there's been millions of dollars raised for her. Okay, that Frisco Dyke, right? But all of these things are being done, whether it's real or whether it's fake, to show you what they're getting ready to bring, which is the sword. The sword is sharpened and it's furbished, man. So let's listen to this, because with all of this chaos is only going to justify them bringing in order.
All right, I hope you're ready to be scared shitless, because that's what's about to happen, y'all. That's what's about to happen. So somebody on Twitter said, commies aren't allowed in this hemisphere, and every one of them should be blown up along with their gravesites. This is obviously in response to Trump kidnapping Maduro and blowing up the gravesite of Hugo Chavez, which is trying to destroy their national history over there. So this is a classic far-right fascist type thing to say. All right, we're ready? This gets dark.
Trump blew up the... Wait a minute. Is that true? Yeah, look at him and his high IQ. Okay? Since everything's being blamed on niggas. You know, most of these... I mean, the majority of these mass shootings and crazy situations be Edomites, man. Okay? Real or fake. All right? But, did Trump bombs Hugo right? Did he do that? Let's see. Reports about Donald Trump bombing Hugo Chavez's grave are false rumors and okay, I don't know. Let's see. It's a few. I ain't hear nothing about that. But either way it go, U.S. bombs Chavez's sacred tomb in psychological warfare. Attack targets Venezuelan leftist symbol to undermine Maduro's legitimacy, echoing past U.S. iconoclasm tactics. So, I mean, you can look it up and see how true it is. I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them. Who knows, though? But let's go back here.
Darker as we go here. So then when we have Joe Lonsdale replies, exactly. What did you think founding Palantir was supposed to be about? Okay. Now, what's creepy about this? As Joe Ravano Barros points out, Palantir was created to kill communists. Its co-founder says, Joe Lonsdale is not some nobody. He's one of the co-founders of Palantir. Saying, we founded Palantir to help, quote, blow up commies and their gravesites. Now remember, Palantir and Peter Thiel, this is his baby, they are literally snuggling up buddy-buddy with the Trump regime. They are as close could be. They're fucking connected at the hip. They are married at the hip. And what has Palantir been doing? Well, they've been in the business of creating this mass spying apparatus, this surveillance apparatus, which is going to be used by the ICE Gestapo thugs, by the way. They're effectively creating a blackmail file on all Americans. By the way, it wasn't a coincidence that Trump, in his first term, signed a bill which had like a 6 or 7% approval rating, which got rid of all of your online privacy rights. Now, all these companies can share your data freely, willy-nilly. The government has that data as well. They're going to try to do biometric screening on people. So they're gonna look for wrongthink in your history. They've already done this with immigrants, where they're like,
right. And pretty soon laws are going to be passed to act on this. We've been hearing about it. We've been seeing it. We've been seeing the infrastructure be set up. All right. Now, these particular events that we're getting ready to see happen, and they're going to move fast. They got to move fast with it. Okay. And, and the DHS was attacked. We got to get it. We got to get that. Department of Homeland Security was attacked. Okay, so now basically they're calling for the often particular people, and when they say the left, I mean there's a lot of people who they can ultimately put under that banner.
We have to vet your social media before you come in here. If you criticize Trump, sorry, we don't want you in this country. If you criticize Israel, sorry, we don't want you in this country. And what has Palantir been used for? Like a lot of these other AI companies, they've allegedly been used in Gaza to help do the genocide and the ethnic cleansing. And there's also a way for the Israeli government to pass the buck when it comes to responsibility and consequences, where they say, no, there was no individual drone operator that murdered all those hundreds of thousands of innocent Palestinians. No, that was up to this AI program which made the decisions for us. So there was no human that was picking the target. So you can't say the humans are guilty of any kind of murder. It's on the machine. So even if we got it wrong, it wasn't us, it was them. It was the machine.
So they're looking for a reason to come down with great wrath. Remember, these people are crazy, man. Okay? As a matter of fact, real quick, let's show you Stephen Miller. We'll go back to this, 235. Let's show.
All right, I hope you're ready to
show you this devil here. He's on the Trump cabinet, but this was him, which he's Amalek.
In concern to the issue.
Now, this was the guy during the, the Charlie Kirk funeral talking about, you're nothing, you're nobody. As a matter of fact, let's look him up. Show you who this is. These are Edomites, man. Okay. These are Edomites. This guy. Okay? And guess what? You guessed it. Yes, he is this. He is, all right, you wish, right? Listen to this guy. This is the people who have control and power. This is how they think. Okay?
Issue of the Iraqi civilians. I think that as many of them should survive as possible, because the goal of any military conflict is to kill as few people as possible. But as for Saddam Hussein and his henchmen, I think the ideal solution would be to cut off their fingers. I don't think it's necessary to kill them entirely. We're not a barbaric people. We respect life. Therefore, torture is the way to go. Because torture people can live. Torture is a celebration of life and human dignity. And we need to remember that as we enter these very dark and dangerous times in the next century. And I only hope that many of my peers and people who will be leading this country will appreciate the value and respect that torture shows towards other cultures. I was talking to my doctor the other day, and I said to him, well, I'm 17, I'm pretty sexy. Everything's going the way I want it to.
All right, that's all we need to, but this is the mindset of the people who are in power. They're bloodthirsty. Okay? War is in his heart. Okay? Revelation chapter 12. Okay? The accuser of the brethren. And 12. Rejoice therefore, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. These are the times we live in. We've been told you Jacob's trouble was coming. But what did y'all do? Y'all wanted to laugh. Y'all wanted to mock. Y'all wanted to scoff. Right? Now they're calling for just often leftists.
All right.
Okay? And we were like at 2:35. I just wanted to show y'all that.
It was them. It was the machine. So you see what's going on here? They're depersonalizing war. They're passing the buck to Palantir. By the same token, imagine a complete surveillance state, no freedom, no liberty, complete authoritarianism, and a company like Palantir is the one collecting the data on you, and they're openly saying, we support killing leftists. And let's also be clear, they say commies. Make no mistake about it. Do you think these people make a distinction between, oh wait, that person's a communist, but this one right here is actually a social democrat, and this one right here is actually a liberal democrat? No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. You're all the same.
And you got to understand, Amalek, he'll harm a child. These Edomites don't care, but Amalek has a special thirst for blood. Remember when we were exodus out of Egypt, that was the first nation to attack us. And what did they do? They went after the feeble. They went after the elderly and the children. That's just the sick, demonic mind that they have. So they don't give no shit about you American people. And they are the ones that have been placed in all of these positions of power. Palantir, Peter, all of their small hats. The other CEO, they're all small hats. Okay? And basically, the bidding of them is going to be done here. So basically, a foreign government runs America right now. Okay?
All the same. If you're fucking left of Attila the Hun or Genghis Khan, you're the same to these people. And so that's what we have to look forward to now. This is what Trump is ushering in. Again, it's not a coincidence that he decided zero regulation, bro. Zero regulation of the entire AI industry. Wanted to ban regulation. He signed an executive order, banned it for like 10 years. No regulation. Even the states can't regulate, even if they want to regulate it. Even though we've already lost 34% of entry-level jobs because ChatGPT has taken those jobs. Right? This is where we're at.
All right. So, yeah, let's get into this. I haven't really tapped into it, but let's go.
All right, folks, you had better lock in because the Trump administration right now is sending a very clear signal to China and Russia that you do not screw with America anymore. We are back is the signal that they are sending. I want you to listen to what Marco Rubio has to say right here.
I don't think that the European Union gets to determine what international law is. No, they certainly don't get to determine is how the United States defends its national security. The United States is under attack from organized criminal narco-terrorists in our hemisphere, and the president is responding in the defense of our country. I do find it interesting that all these countries want us to send, and supply, for example, nuclear-capable Tomahawk missiles to defend Europe. But when the United States positions aircraft carriers in our hemisphere, where
now, that is just one of the mission statements that are being sent out by the Trump administration because we are...
So everything's about war. All that Christian Jesus shit is going out of the door. This is what it was always about. All right. And they're going to have the necessary black swan events to justify this mindset and bringing in that sword, man.
It's not being televised, but we are in a form of civil unrest today. Trump is preparing to release and initiate the Insurrection Act. That will give sweeping powers to the government in the ways that they operate here on American soil. And this might be why. I want you to watch this video and just see how dangerous things are actually getting for the immigration enforcement federal officials that are working and operate on U.S. soil today. Now you can see this official right here, he goes for his hand onto his service duty weapon, and he does that immediately because he can feel the building tension of the crowd around him. That it wouldn't take but a thought from any one of these individuals to start either pulling a weapon of their own, throwing bricks, somebody coming in with a vehicle that would pin him against this white vehicle that he is against. And you can see he's not really looking behind him. He really has to be head on a swivel 24 hours a day because of the way that things are going inside of our country.
And this is the picture that's being painted. Some of it is actual, the people, uprising and mad. But a lot of it, all right, is a black swan. A lot of it is paid actors, agents, okay, and so forth. Uproars.
This video and others bring weapons. And so they are literally arming themselves against the wider federal government. Trump will act so quickly to bring martial law into the United States of America that these people do not even understand the fire that they are playing with. There's a different thought process. One, you can teach your kids about fire and fire safety, and one, you let them.
Give me 1 second here.
Get burnt. I believe in teaching your children about fire safety, but we are right now witnessing the Republican side saying, hey, let them get burnt. Let them see what happens. Trump has said it. Pete Hegseth has said it. You F around, you find out. And so that is maybe the direction that they are allowing this to go. This could, and this is going to fuel the left side. This is going to fuel them all to feel like, look, they pushed away the immigration enforcement there. We can do it here. So they'll do it in Dallas, Texas, New York.
So this immigration thing is going to be the two horns like a lamb. All right, because you have ICE being, implemented in these different, states, but then you have, the left side of, by the right, basically the right is putting ICE there. The left are basically saying, look, get the hell out of, our states, and we'll even use force and fight back, which is going to create a civil war, civil unrest. Okay. And regular everyday Americans are just like, look, nigga, I just want a decent paycheck, take the gas prices down, lower the food prices. Like we're fed up, but they're coming with, all right, scenario after scenario after scenario, basically just are wearing people's minds down. Okay. And I think the DHS attack was speaking of that Minnesota situation.
New York City, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Chicago, Illinois. They'll do it in Atlanta, Georgia. They'll do it across California. And as soon as they get enough confidence that they can keep pushing back immigration enforcement, Trump will have to act. Department of Homeland Security will be forced into action. They'll make a show of force. They will not just sit by and let this kind of thing take place. Okay, so this is out of Florida. They are slamming the door, they say, on illegal immigration, a way that no other state dares to do it. This new bill that the state of Florida is bringing forward will send remittances. They will hold bank accounts. They will stop people. They will ban them from being able to get a mortgage, get a loan. If you're not in this country illegally, you're not allowed to act like a legal citizen. They will also put penalties on companies who employ illegals.
They do have some nexus to involvement with TDA. We can confirm that. And what I can say is there is an association with the two folks yesterday and TDA. I hesitated to...
TDA is Tren de Aragua, a cartel. What you have here is the police chief of Portland crying, wiping his eyes. He has to admit that the people who were taken out by Border Protection, who were enforced upon, have a direct connection to Tren de Aragua. He says he didn't want two victims.
So all of this crap, and it's centered around pointing the finger at you tribes, right? Things are getting ready to get very, very interesting, man. Okay. Let's see here. Something else I saw earlier. And this is what is all going to, the digital ID. Because while all of this is happening, all right, Esau Edom is more and further implementing that NWO. We got to get into what happened, all right, at Davos, okay? Where basically they're coming with it, all right? Because through all of this organized chaos, it's bringing in a surveillance state, okay? And they're just making basically recording what people are posting, putting you on a list. Remember we talked about the red list, the yellow list, this list back in the day. Well, now they have AI to do that. They don't have to have someone sitting and watching you. AI is doing that. And that's basically what's being set up. And basically through these false flag scenarios, they're going to be able to link particular groups of people and people with particular mindsets to these lists and roll on you. Okay?
The surveillance state is making a naughty list, and you're on it, by John and Ann, Nisha Whitehead via the Rutherford Institute. Government bureaucrats might think that they have some control over the surveillance state, but they would be dead wrong. The technology and infrastructure drive all data into the hands of technocrats. Our book, The Final Betrayal, makes it abundantly clear that arch-technocrats like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, David Sacks, Mark Andreessen, Howard Lutnick, Russ Vought, Michael Kratzios, etc., have invaded Washington, D.C., with the intent to turn America into a post-1984 dystopia. Along the way, they are destroying the historical government infrastructure and replacing functionality with AI. Patrick Wood, editor. For generations, Santa Claus is coming to town has been treated as a playful reminder to children to be good because someone, somewhere, is watching. Today, it reads less like a joke and more like a warning. The surveillance state is making a naughty list, and we're all on it. Long before Santa's elves start loading his sleigh with toys for good girls and boys, the government surveillance apparatus is already at work, logging your movements, monitoring your messages, tracking your purchases, scanning your face, recording your license plate, and feeding it all into algorithmic systems designed to determine whether you belong on a government watch list. Unlike Santa's naughty list, however, the consequences of landing on the government's naughty list are far more severe than a stocking full of coal. They can include heightened surveillance, loss of privacy, travel restrictions, financial scrutiny, police encounters, or being flagged as a potential threat, often without notice, explanation, or recourse. This is not fiction. This is not paranoia. This is the modern surveillance state operating exactly as designed. Santa Claus has long been the benign symbol of omniscient surveillance, a figure who watches, judges, and
With Santa Claus is Satan. They were talking about Satan. All right, basically trying to take the role of the Most High, but on the left-hand side. Ho, 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 that's really Satan. In the scriptures, the Lord says ho, ho. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can find that. I believe he says ho, ho. Yep. Zechariah 2:6, ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord, for I have spread you abroad at the four winds of heaven, said the Lord. And the Lord is going to gather us. But Esau, Edom, Satan, Santa represents Satan. He knows when you've been asleep. He knows when you've been bad or good. That's all symbol representing Satan. All right.
Wards. His oversight is fleeting, imaginary, and ultimately harmless. The government surveillance is none of those things, and never was. What was once dismissed as a joke, Santa is watching, has morphed into a chilling reality. Instead of elves, the watchers are data brokers, intelligence agencies, predictive algorithms, and fusion centers.
And again, all of these scenarios are happening because they're watching you, putting people on list, and they're getting ready to justify bringing the sword. All right, the sword is furbished. As a matter of fact, let's look at this real quick. So I got to move and I got to roll out in just a minute.
share this because some platforms are going to try to take it down or bury it. This is NSPM 7, Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence, and it just got signed. And buried inside of it are a series of traps. It says the government can treat anti-American, anti-capitalist, and anti-Christian views as indicators of political violence. This allows them to target people they will label as potentially politically violent. The goal of NSPM 7 is to give the government the authority to arrest and charge people before they actually do anything illegal. This is about ideology. And pay attention, because NSPM 7 broadly gives them the authority to label and arrest anyone who supports the overthrow of the U.S. government, supports extremism on migration,
See that?
supports extremism on race or gender, and it also includes going after people who have hostility towards those who hold traditional American values on family, hostility for those who hold traditional American views on religion, and hostility for those who hold traditional American views on morality. And they slipped in civil disorder, which can mean almost anything. All those statements are very broad and ambiguous, and that's by design. When dissent is defined as anti-American, any protest can be labeled anti-American. Question capitalism, you're an anti-capitalist. Criticize Christian nationalism or religion in schools, you're anti-Christian. It's not an accident. Broad language is a weapon. Suppose ICE kicks in some doors in a city and there's a protest. And if you...
What does this say? Make a man an offender for a word. Because they've been caught. They've striven against the Lord. They're outed. Secrecy was their strength, but now we're in a time where the Lord has everything out there. So they gotta get control of the narrative. They're lying. They're doing all kind of wickedness. Isaiah 29 and 21, that make a man an offender for a word and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. And a lot of these false flag scenarios are a part of that snare. Okay, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught.
Join, even peacefully. They could call that anti-American or civil disorder. You call out a corporation for exploitative practices. They could call that anti-capitalist. Criticize Christian political ideology, you're anti-Christian. This gives them cover to stretch definitions however they want. The worst part, you won't see it instantly, and that's how authoritarian change happens. One day you'll wake up and say, why can't I say this? Or since when is that illegal? This is the playbook. Once they have the cover to treat thought and ideology as threat, they escalate. Surveillance of dissidents and organizers, prosecutions under broad terrorism labels, deploying federal forces inside cities, media and speech control, purging or silencing dissent. I'm not asking you to panic. I'm asking you to fucking pay attention. Don't just shrug and scroll. Share this. Demand your media talk about it. Don't normalize repression, because in a year or 2 or 5, you're going to wake up and look around and think, I should have paid attention. And by then, it's too late. We have to continue to resist.
So there you go. So basically, as it says in Isaiah 10 and 1, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and grievances which they have prescribed. So all of this hell you're seeing is only justifying more and more that surveillance state.
Instead of a naughty or nice list, Americans are sorted into databases, risk profiles, and threat assessments, lists that never disappear. The shift is subtle but profound. Innocence is no longer presumed. Everyone is watched. Everyone is scored. Everyone is a potential suspect. This is the surveillance state in action. Today's surveillance state doesn't require suspicion, a warrant, or probable cause. It is omnipresent, omniscient, and inescapable. Your smartphone tracks your location. Your car records your movements. License plate readers log when and where you drive. Retail purchases create detailed consumer profiles. Smart speakers listen to everything you say. Home security cameras observe not just your property, but your neighbors, delivery drivers, and anyone who passes by.
All right. So, I mean, you can pretty much look this up off of technocracy.news. Okay. But they're coming with it. Okay. We're getting ready to see another, pandemic. We're getting ready to see a whole hell of a lot because, again, the devil, he only has but a short time. But I just wanted to get into a few of these things. All right. War is in this man's heart. Okay. Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Psalms 140 and 2, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. These people are crazy. All right. And, hey, the Lord's getting ready to, let them loose. All right. A lot of the 2/3 are going to suffer. Okay. We're going to get, persecuted, but the Lord is going to be with his elect through this all. All right. Because things are getting ready to ante up through the Holy Spirit. You know, like they say, like we were saying here. Damn, I thought I had it. You know, this Trump thing with Iran, help is on the way. So, hey, we don't got long, man. So work out all of the little kinks and things in your spirit you got going on, because, hey, the Lord is getting ready to move, man. So throw up prayers, you know, for the elect brothers and sisters who are sincere, starting with the apostles, bishops, and elders, and the true teachers of Yahweh Bashmi Shai. Okay. And all the sincere who are fighting, man, and laboring. All right. So, hey, man, Lord be with us. I would bring out more, but again, I got to roll out, and so much happening, man. I'm trying to catch up. All right. But yeah, even AI, like this brother did this video here. AI is altering brothers' videos, man. Okay. This is Amawanga Bar, GMS Awakening 144. AI is altering brothers' videos. So they can just alter your video to say something. And pretty much we're already on the list, period. We have to expect that. And the devil ain't going to play fair. But yeah, they want to do away with free speech. They want to do away with civil liberties. And they want to justify just mowing down any competition, man. Okay, these plagues ain't going nowhere. Second Esdras 16:37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son. 2 or 3 hours of her birth pains compass, those contractions, her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth. And the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. See that? And then he goes to give the mindset we should be in through all of this. So, hey, man, prepare to meet, all right, our maker, Yahweh Bashim Shai, man. Shalom.